So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome and welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we'll be back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, January 12th. Hope it's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, January 12th here today. We're coming off of a college football championship game. Ohio State got dominated. Alabama dominates Ohio State. What I was kind of expecting. I was expecting Alabama to win. I was not expecting it to be a complete blowout. I was expecting Ohio State to keep it somewhat close, but they did not. They got smoked, and Ohio State just did not look good from the start and looked real rusty. So that's kind of it for Ohio State. As for Alabama, they went out and did what Alabama usually does. They went out and dominated from the start, dominated to the finish, and Nick Saban got his sixth ring. So it's obviously not what I wanted. I was rooting for, I was pulling for Ohio State. Not a big fan of Alabama. Not a big fan of Saban, but it is what it is. I'll tell you what, man, the Jets, man, hopefully they were watching yesterday. There's a lot of good talent on that field yesterday. Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Master Teague, Olave, Certain. There's a lot of good talent on that field yesterday. I hope some of those scouts were watching. Mac Jones just went off. Devontae Smith, the receiver, had an insane game. Obviously, he was the Heisman winner. I'll tell you what, with that number 2 pick, I would not be surprised if the Jets target that Devontae Smith, from the wide receiver from Alabama. I would definitely love that pick. Without a doubt, the best receiver in college football right now. I think it would be a great pick, and I think it would be a great acquisition for the New York Jets. But it is what, we don't know. It's all up to our GM and our front office to make that decision. I do not make that decision. The front office does. So we'll see what happens there. But these are the topics for today. We got Kyrie Irving in the Nets / the NBA. There's been some video. Obviously, Kyrie Irving has been, if you follow the Nets, if you're anything about the NBA, Kyrie Irving has been obviously absent from the team, has been out since the Jazz game with personal reasons. He was now found at a party maskless on a video. NBA is investigating this. I will share you my opinion on it. Not too happy about it. Very frustrated. This is one of our stars we're talking about here. And now possibly he could get fines, maybe suspension. Things are starting to get a little crazy, and with all this going on, the Nets are trying to focus on getting their team prepared for a basketball game tonight against a very good Denver Nuggets team. So I am not optimistic about tonight's game. I'm not feeling good about tonight's game, but at the end of the day, you got to have a little bit of optimism, because at the end of the day, it is sports. Anything can happen. That's the excellent part of sports. Anything can happen in sports. Any given Sunday, an NFL team can win. Any given Sunday, an NFL team can lose. Any given Sunday, the Jets could upset the Rams like they did. Today marks 52. This is actually a little bit of a thing I want to say. Today is 52 years ago today. The New York Jets put off the greatest upset in NFL history, winning their first Super Bowl and their only Super Bowl. 52 years ago today. So think about that. The Jets have gone 52 years without making a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl. So just think about that. That just goes to show you how much suffering we've had to go through since 1969. So we got that. Kyrie Irving and the Nets released that. Kind of give you my opinion on it. Got an article to read. Very frustrated about it. When these guys are getting paid millions and you can't, it's just very frustrating. It's mind-boggling to me, really. These guys are getting paid millions. You would think they would. I'll get into it. I don't want to spoil everything I want to say right now, but we'll get into that. Then Robert Saleh and the New York Jets. Very excited to hear this. Roller coaster of emotions today, right, with the sports world. I started off very good with the Robert Saleh news that the Jets he's one of the finalists for the coaches. And then all of a sudden, Kyrie news came out. I was like, oh my gosh, like really? And, obviously that stinks, with Kyrie obviously being out, with all that stuff. But Robert Saleh is now one of the finalists for the New York Jets job. He flew into The Jets flew into, obviously, where the Jets training facility is in Florham Park. Flew in today. He's going to have his second interview with the New York Jets. It's in person. He is the first known finalist for the New York Jets job. There'll probably be about 3 to 4 of them, and it'll eventually narrow down to about 1 or 2 of them, and ultimately they'll pick it out. I'm feeling very confident that Saleh will be the next coach to the New York Jets. We'll see, though. So things are starting to slowly develop. I'm telling you, in the next couple of weeks, you'll start to find out. And then I would say before the Super Bowl, you're going to find out who the New York Jets head coach is, I would ultimately say. And that's probably the timetable there. Then to finish it off, we got college basketball game picks, college football. Give you my take on last night's game, Kentucky, NBA, Nets, Knicks, fantasy basketball, and I'm going to share my fantasy hockey team with you. Yes, yesterday I did, in fact, do my fantasy hockey draft. I like my team, and I know I'm not just saying that just because I am. I do. I said this about college. I said this about my NFL fantasy football team. I said I was not a big fan of it from the draft. Sure enough, that team was not the most successful team. I finished third. I said I liked my team. I finished third as well. But anyway, fantasy hockey, I like my team. Think it's pretty good. It's my first ever year of playing fantasy hockey, so... at the same time, I should take back what I said. At the same time, I could say that I like my team, but I don't really know what it's all about because I've never played fantasy hockey before. I knew all the players. I know all the players coming on my team. Like, I knew who I was drafting and stuff. I know some people might be, looking at the players and just seeing, but I knew who I drafted. I know pretty much all the players. And I mean, I'm not every single player in the NHL, but I'm obviously pretty informed. I obviously inform myself. So, I know all the players on my team. I didn't pick up some just random no names, but obviously I knew them all and I had some background information on them. But I don't know. I didn't really, the whole draft strategy thing, I feel like I probably could have went earlier on defensemen instead of forwards. And same thing with goalie. I probably missed out on 1, 2, or even 3 really good goalies that I could have took. But I really like Federic out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Really like that. Not really spoiling there, but I just want to say one of my goalies. So you have 3 goalies. You have a couple bench spots. Then you have forwards and defensemen. And you have a utility spot, then an IR spot. The lineup is a very weird spot. So I'll give you all that kind of stuff coming up later on in the podcast. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So the Nets news has came out here today involving the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, but by the way, before I start, I know I said I wanted to touch upon the Doug Peterson news. I felt like I kind of touched upon it yesterday. I felt like everyone kind of got my opinion on it. It was good. I think it was a good move to get rid of him. I think everyone kind of got my opinion on it. I didn't want him coming to the Jets and that kind of stuff. I think everyone kind of got me on that one. So I decided with the 2 breaking stories today are, I think, better than something that broke yesterday that everyone knows about. So, I might talk about it either tomorrow or down the road. I mean, tomorrow's a big NHL day. I'm going to be talking about the power rankings, obviously, with the season starting tomorrow. But I just wanted to kind of just keep that updated. I was going to talk about Peterson with the Saleh news coming out, then the Irving news coming out. I was like, I kind of feel like these are 2 breaking stories that are still developing. I kind of want to get into these. So I'm going to talk about these today. But, yeah, here's the Nets news, like I was saying earlier. But report, NBA expected to examine video of Kyrie Irving attending party maskless. This was today, literally today. This was not yesterday. This was today. It came out. I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline, then we'll get into the article, things like that. So, it was the last game the Nets played with Kyrie was actually one of the first games KD was out because KD was out with he came in contact with someone who tested positive. So he came in contact with someone who tested positive for the virus. So he came in contact with someone who tested positive. So he had to quarantine with the whole NBA safety protocols thing. He had to quarantine and he had to wait it out. So he had to quarantine. You're either quarantined for a week or 10 days or something. Or you're either quarantined for like 2 weeks or a week or something, or you have to get either a week quarantine or 4 negative tests. So KD ended up getting the 4 negative tests, and he was able to come back. So you got tested each day. He had 4 of them. He was able to come back. Obviously, with that being said, with the whole safety protocols thing, I guess what the week is, if you test positive, I guess you would have enough time for a week to then test negative again and get back out there. But with KD not having to test positive, he only was out for, 2-3 games? They were expecting him to be out for, a week or so. But with the whole NBA safety protocols thing, I mean, he was supposedly in the zone of, like, the extreme close contact zone where he was literally, I guess, talking to the guy who tested positive. But that's how it is. No one really knows what's going on. I mean, look, he tested negative 4 times. That's how crazy this is. You could get it and you can't. So I'm not going to get into that kind of thing. But that was the last time Kyrie played, was the first game KD was out. It was against the Utah Jazz. We won 130-96. And then Kyrie was out the next game against the Philadelphia 76ers. That was his first game, I think, being out. We ended up winning that game. Then he was out against the Grizzlies. We ended up winning. We lost that game. Then he was obviously out against the Thunder on Sunday night. We ended up losing that game, and now he's out again today. No result yet if we win or lose this game. I'm leaning towards we're probably not going to win just because too much moving parts around this organization right now. Don't know if it's going to be really well to focus in. Then we have a game tomorrow. We have a back-to-back. We have a game today, then we have a game tomorrow. So who knows what's going to happen tomorrow with this team and KD and if he's going to play or not, whatever the case may be. The Nets right now, let's just say, are in a very terrible position right now. So I've said throughout the offseason, I was excited for this season. I was pumped for the Nets. I mean, I've never felt this excited to watch a sports team before. I really felt like, this was it. Like KD and Kyrie, like this was it. We had two of the biggest names in basketball. You had one of the best scorers of all time in KD. You got one of the better point guards in the league and one of the better ball handlers in the league in Kyrie. They obviously signed like 2 years ago. KD obviously missed all last year. Kyrie played a little bit but got injured. He needed shoulder surgery. Obviously all that stuff. Now for finally us Nets fans, the wait to be over. We get both of them. Jared Allen's playing well. We start off the season 2-0. We're looking like a very good basketball team. We're looking like a final contender, and then things start to go downhill from here. And the Brooklyn Nets are sitting here after the 2-0 start, have been 3-6 since, and we are now sitting here today with a 5-6 record, heading into play a 5-5 Nuggets team that I feel like is a lot better than 5-5. The Nets, they could be a lot better than 5-6, but they have not shown it yet. They showed it in the first 2 games of the year, but those games are in the rear view. A lot of people forget about those games. Those first 2 games, 3 days before Christmas and in the game on Christmas Day, those games are forgotten about. Those games were over 2-3 weeks ago. And the Nets are now 11 games into the season, and we are below 500. And this news that came out today, which is going to lead into my next part, does not help. First off, Kyrie is not expected to play this entire week now. So that's not only affecting the Nets to bring a little bit of a spin on this, but it also affects my fantasy basketball team to kind of bring a little bit of a spin on it, because it does affect my fantasy basketball team. I drafted him. He's on my lineup. He does affect it. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the fantasy basketball team now. That's not my I would much rather the Nets win, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my fantasy basketball team. I'm targeting Kemba Walker, but that's also got to rely in there. I mean, if Kyrie's out another week, then I got to figure out what to do with my fantasy basketball team. I got to pick up another guard, I guess, another point guard, but I don't know who to drop. I will probably make that decision tonight on what I'm going to do, because if Kyrie's out for another week, that's like another 3-4 games that he's going to miss. That's a big amount of points that I could be getting from someone else. I've already been looking. I've already been targeting Devontae Graham, some other guys out there, Conley, another our guards. I just don't know who to drop. I don't want to drop Kyrie because someone's going to go swoop him in and pick him up. But at the same time, if he's going to be out for this week, and maybe if he faces a big discipline from this, he might be out for another week. Like, who knows? But, yeah, so NBA is expected to examine a video of Kyrie Irving attempted to party. So he said after the Jazz game that he's got personal issues. So when you hear about that, you're like, okay, something could be going on, things like that. It's happened before with teams. It's happened before with players. It's happened before with teams. It happens. It's happened sometimes. Personal issues, whether it's within your family or whether it's even just with you as a player. Sometimes even a lot of players in the bubble, they had with them being away from their family, they had a tough time really focusing on the games and really being away from their family, not being home and stuff for a long time. They had a tough time focusing on their game. So sometimes players would that's why there was sometimes bad performance, because players would just not be able to focus on the game because they would be so focused on what was going on outside of a meeting, like they were not home and stuff in the hotel but stuff. But this is not the NBA bubble. So when you hear that he's out for personal reasons, you can't really attack the guy. You can't be like, oh my gosh, this is stuff like that. You can't really attack the guy. You can only say that hopefully whatever the personal things is getting better, whatever the case may be. So he's out the first game. You're like, okay. Then he's out again. I thought for sure he was going to come back the Sunday game when KD came back. And as a matter of fact, he was listed as doubtful. Then when they heard that KD was probable to play, when KD was active, then they listed him as questionable, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's going to play. Like, is this a whole, like, just waiting for KD to come back thing? But then he was listed as doubtful again. He was out, and he's still now out. But we are now finding out that these personal issues may not even be personal. He might be out partying, not even focused on basketball, getting paid millions, and he's not even out there on the court. And this is the part as a sports fan, and even if you watch NBA or if you don't, this has happened plenty of times in multiple sports leagues where players will take advantage of their money. They won't focus on their team. They won't focus on the game. They don't care about anything else other than themselves. They go out there, they party, they do whatever they want. We've seen it already twice in the past couple of weeks. We saw it with James. We saw it with Dwayne Haskins. He was maskless at a strip club, got paid, or he was getting paid all that money. Got maskless. He was maskless out, at a strip club and stuff. And then all of a sudden, he was maskless there. They ended up releasing him. Same thing with James Harden. He was maskless out as a big super spreader event. He was maskless also at another club, and things went wrong there. Guess what? He was out, and he got fined. Now Kyrie all of a sudden maskless. Not at a club this time, at a party. He's found maskless at a party. Now, all of a sudden, he's probably going to get fined. So, we're seeing this so often with players, and that's the frustrating part to me. And this is another thing, too. Kyrie Irving hasn't even been in contact with the team. It's almost like he's missing. It's almost like we don't know if he's even, like what happened to him. Like, that's the weird part. Like, this almost reminds me a little bit of, the video surfaced, so we know that he's partying and stuff. So we know that he's obviously, the video surfaced. So we know obviously he's still close to, wherever Brooklyn is or whatever. It's not like he completely moved out of Brooklyn and went to some other place on the other side of the country or whatever, right? We obviously know that he's still close to the arena and stuff because, obviously that stuff. So, obviously things like that. So this almost reminds me a little bit of the Jonas Cespedes situation. I don't know if you remember about that. Jonas Cespedes situation where he obviously was playing in the game. All of a sudden, next day, did not show up to the ballpark. They sent a attendant to his room. He wasn't in his room. Everything was packed. His bed was made, all that stuff. And people say they left at the middle of the night. I don't think you've still heard from Jonas Cespedes on what happened to him. I would imagine he probably just went back to his home. I don't know where he's from, but still then, I don't even know if many people even know what happened to him. But this reminds me of that situation. Like Kyrie, like Steve Nash, and this is where I feel bad for this team and Steve Nash is, here's one of your stars. Here's one of your players that you're giving all this money to. The least he could say, if he was having personal issues, the least he could say is post something or tell Nash, like, hey, I'm okay, I hope to get back soon. That's the least he could do. Something like that. Whether that's on one of his social media accounts. Instead of posting videos or people taking videos of you maskless at a party, why don't you be a true professional and go out there and post something about, hey, I'm going through some personal issues right now, hope to get back on the court soon. Something like that. Now, all of a sudden, the way the Brooklyn Nets and us fans find out that this is really not personal issues, is by him being at a party maskless. This is just so unprofessional and very frustrating as a fan. A fan who was really excited to go into the season, and now a fan that's very frustrated because this is a guy that is now out partying and can't, and that's another thing too. With all this outside noise, can this team really focus on this game tonight? Is this team really going to be able to focus? The media asking Steve Nash questions about, what's going on with Kyrie and stuff, and he doesn't know. Now with all this outside noise, I'm sure they're going to ask players. I'm sure they're going to ask KD, what's going on with him? Why is he like this? What do you think about this? With all this outside noise now, I'm sure the broadcasters in the game will bring it up. I'm sure with all this outside noise right now, can you even really focus on this game tonight? Kyrie, not only is it his problem, but he's creating this completely ginormous dumpster fire right now. The dumpster fire is just lit. It ain't fully in flames yet, but it's getting there. Because this is terrible. He's bringing unneeded attention to this team. This team was perfectly fine. There was no need to hate this team. You had KD and Kyrie, they were going their own way. Small market team, going their own way. doing their own thing, going out there playing, trying to win the games, trying to put the best product on the basketball court as they can. Try to bring a finals win to Brooklyn for the first time in franchise history. People were okay with it. You know what? It's going to be fun to watch them. Now, all of a sudden, Kyrie partying. Oh, he's out personal reasons. Oh, this, and this. Oh, look at this, look at that. And guess what happens now? He's now partying, and the NBA's called notice of it. They're going to examine it in the party. And all of a sudden, what started out as personal issues, okay, let's see, hopefully he's back soon, has turned into, oh, he's going to be out another week, and now he's found partying. So it looks like there was no personal issues ever happening. It was just him being crazy, going out there and partying. You're getting paid millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. If it really was personal issues, then tell us, I hope to be back out on the court soon. Thank you for your patience or whatever. Something like that. Say, I'm okay, hope to be back out there on the court soon. Instead of going into this completely deep hiding stage where no one knows what's happening, you're not even... At least get back to Steve Nash. At least get back to Sean Marks. At least get back to Joe Tsai, our owner. At least say something to someone. Right? Don't just go into deep hiding. Steve Nash hasn't even gone in contact with him. That's how terrible this is. Kyrie has created a complete eruption in this team right now. This team was good. Now there's a big hole on this team right now. Because first off, you're without Kyrie, which is bad. And second of all, with all this media and stuff, I don't even know if we're going to be able to focus on this game. I wouldn't be surprised if we get smoked tonight. Because with all this outside noise, I don't know if you're going to be able to hone in and focus. I really don't. But report NBA expected to examine video of Kyrie Irving attending party maskless. The NBA reportedly will examine videos posted to social media that appear to show Brooklyn Nets point guard Kyrie Irving at a large gathering without a mask or social distancing. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski and Malika Andrews reported Tuesday there is no belief Irving will return to the Nets lineup this week while the league investigates the situation. Billy Reinhart, who's actually I looked at his stuff a lot. He does a lot of Nets news and stuff. Videos have surfaced of Kyrie Irving at his large birthday gathering alongside his sister Asia. Kyrie's sister and dad have birthdays this week. Given the size of the gathering and now public nature of it, Kyrie may now have to undergo a quarantine period before returning. That's the thing. It looks like was his dad's party, but still, if that's the case, then wear a mask but that's the weird part. If this video is just surfacing, then why has he been out for a week now? It's been like a week. Because what's today? The 12th? Yeah, his last game he played was January 5th. So it's a week. So today's been a week. So you're going to sit here and tell me, like, if it was something, it's the weird part. Like, I thought, when I heard that he was out for personal reasons, I was like, okay, it might be 1 or 2 games. But if this was because of a birthday party that he's out for, birthday parties are only one day. They're not an entire... This is almost like a puzzle in a way. The news is going to start to break. There's going to start to be put together some more puzzle pieces. This is almost like a puzzle. You got half of it done. There's some other parts of it that are iffy. So we know he was at a party. Now, they're investigating this because they also want to investigate this because what makes it weird is sometimes they investigate these things and these things have happened before the whole COVID thing. They sometimes just pop up now, or sometimes people will find the video and try to make a whole thing of it, but it's kind of ironic that both their birthdays are this week, and this is kind of happening. That's the problem. I mean, if you're going to celebrate, at least, do a mask and have a low gathering. You're an NBA player. You got to realize, too. I mean, I don't know. This is crazy. This is just amazing. This is just crazy to me. We'll undergo quarantine. That's another thing. If this was in fact a party that happened recently, he will have to undergo a quarantine period, which would mean he won't even be back this week. And even who knows what's going to happen next week with him if he's even back by then. Kyrie Irving wishes his father a happy birthday. Thank you for example he said for me. That's what he said. That looked like that was recently. That's what it looks like what he sent recently. Now, if it was in fact his dad's birthday party, it just I don't know. It's just really, I don't know. It's very weird. This is the weird part of it, because if it was Dad's birthday party, then, it's so interesting. It's very there's pieces to this. That's why it seems very weird. But yeah. Brooklyn announced Monday the 28-year-old Duke product will miss his fourth consecutive game for personal reasons when it took on the Denver Nuggets on Tuesday night. Steve Nash said, "I do not have any updates. Sorry." Nets head coach Steve Nash told reporters. Irving last played in a January 5th win over the Utah Jazz. He's averaged 27.1 points per game, 6.1 assists, and 5.3 rebounds while playing in 7 of the team's 11 games so far in 2021. 2020-2021 season. The Nets, who entered the campaign with the championship-level expectations, with the return of Kevin Durant, are currently 10th in the Eastern Conference with a 5-6 record. I wouldn't speak for Kyrie. I'll let him do that for himself. Durant said Sunday, "I'm sure you guys will see him soon when he comes back. Support him 100% and hope for the best, and pray for the best." And obviously, hope for the best for Kyrie, obviously. That's what KD said yesterday. Now, this was before the party incident, so that's, a lot of people were assuming that it could have been something family-related. We're now finding out that it might be the birthday party, but if that's the case, then why is the birthday party leaving you out for 4 games? It's so interesting. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, here we go. Being out for the rest of the week would mean at least 3 more absences for the 6-time All-Star, along with Tuesday's clash with the Nuggets. He'd also miss Wednesday's game against the New York Knicks and Saturday's game against the Orlando Magic. Karis LeVert, who averaged 27.5 points per game over the past 4 games, should continue to fill the void in the starting lineup for the Nets. They'll also lean more heavily to Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot and Landry Shamet to help fill out the backcourt rotation. Houston Rockets star James Harden was previously fined $550,000 for the NBA for attending an indoor party in late December. The NBA's investigation into Irving also comes amid rising COVID-19 cases around the league, which has led to 3 straight days with at least 1 postponement. So, and you even wonder if the personal issue could have been, it's just so wondering. It's very, very, very interesting to see what happens. Let's see. There's really no other new news for this. Kyrie Irving's situation continues to get worse and worse. Does he plan on ever returning to the team? And if so, all in, or will he just decide to skip a block of games? That's one of the big ideas from Frank Isola, who works with the Yes Network crew. Kyrie Irving needs to get with the PR team, the Nets, and figure out how to handle this. The silence at this point is detrimental to his reputation and this team. I honestly don't care how we stand on this. The NBA was reportedly set to investigate an online video circulating Kyrie Irving. That was already there. Also not expected to return to the Brooklyn. That's really big to me, that he's not even going to return this week. So that's the one really weird thing to me, is that he's not even going to return this week. So, that's the thing. If it's his birthday party, then why are you out an entire another week? There's just too many holes to this story. It's tough to tell, and that's another thing too. He doesn't talk to the media always. He talks to the media really only when he feels like that. He's a very interesting guy. He's a very good player, but he's a very interesting guy. I've learned that. And I've known it for a while now, but since he came to the Nets, I feel like he was with LeBron, obviously. I feel like LeBron was the big face of that team. So he was kind of a little bit in the shadows there. He's very good, though. He went to the Celtics. He's the big name in Celtics, but he also had some of the rising stars like Tatum and things like that. And then obviously he's now with the Nets, and now with the whole league just zoned around here, I feel like now that he's a little bit more open now, I feel like in a way he's just acting like these are just the things, like these guys are getting paid millions. With the news that Kyrie Irving may not be back anytime soon, Brooklyn needs to consider adding more point guard. George Hill, Patty Mills via trade, Isaiah Thomas via free agency. Who knows what happens with Kyle Lowry, even if the Raptors continue to struggle. That's another thing too. Right, the Nets got to look for a guy now. Because if he's not going to be out for another week or two, we got to look for even if it's just like a free agent like Isaiah Thomas, even if it's just him, someone that we could pick up, sign him to like a 10-day deal, and, it's a 10-day contract, which would be like bouncing back and forth. Even just sign him to like a 1-year deal or something, or the rest of the season deal. Work out a contract with him where he could fill in for at least a little bit. Because I don't think you can. I don't think you can let this happen. If he's out for another 2 weeks, I don't think you can let. We know he's out for the rest of this week. If he's out all the next week, then I don't know. And he's not. And that's the problem too. He's not saying anything. We've seen a couple cases too because Kyle Lowry was out for personal reasons, and now DeMar DeRozan was as well. We've seen a couple of these things. I don't know if it's just an inside thing or whatever, but there's a lot more to this story, and I'll have it all up coming on this podcast. This stuff just frustrates me that you're getting paid millions, just go out there and play. I mean, it obviously doesn't seem like, if he was at a party, then this just that if this party video is from recently, and this was not like a video that just popped up now and it was before the whole COVID thing or in the off season or whatever. If this party thing is real, that's just gonna get me more angry, because did he really did he really sit out just so then he could do this party? Did he really oh my gosh, it's just mind-boggling. Yeah, he's missed the last 3 games. He's out again. That's another thing. He's out. He's out. But it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. And that guy really made a great point when he said that great point when he said that about George Hill, Patty Mills via trade, or Isaiah Thomas via free agency. We got to find some guard help now, because I don't know. I mean, LeVert's good, but I don't know what's going to happen there. If he's out he's going to be out this week, and what if he's out next week? That's 2 weeks now. You got to find a little bit more guard help, or at least pick someone up from your G League team or someone. You got to do something here. Got to give KD some help here. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So we'll obviously see what happens. The story's still developing a little bit, but obviously not good news for Nets fans. And I would imagine, for Kyrie, if that was in fact true, I'm sure he's not very happy that video leaked into the internet, and now the NBA's got a hold of it. That's not good either. So we'll keep on following this story and see if there's any more updates. I'll keep you all updated, obviously, on podcasts, Wednesday, Thursday, obviously that kind of stuff. We'll see what all happens. But next up is something I am very happy about. Like I said, Salah was very happy about. Kyrie not. Hopefully, hopefully this whole Salah Jets thing does go through here. But coming up next, Robert Saleh is the first known finalist for the New York Jets head coach vacancy job. We'll get into that coming up next. Alrighty. So let's see here. So, this is from the Jets here. So, Jets rumors, 49ers, Robert Saleh set for second interview, first known head coach finalist. This is, in fact, for the New York Jets. So, like I just said, he is the first known finalist for the New York Jets job. Obviously, the New York Jets fired Gaze actually a week ago. Yesterday, they fired Adam Gaze. A week ago Sunday, they fired Adam Gaze, got rid of him, and started their coaching search that week. We have now really pretty deep into our coaching search. We are through really the first round of interviews. We've interviewed Arthur Smith, Matt Eberflus, Brian Dable, Eric Bieniemy, obviously Robert Saleh, and there's some more. Oh, I think Brandon Staley. The Saints safeties coach Marvin Lewis we've interviewed, so 8 interviews. There might be some more that I'm just not catching on, but there was definitely a lot of them. We've interviewed about 8 coaches, and we're interviewing Robert Saleh again. So more than likely, the 8 coaches that we interviewed that I just read, Brandon Staley, Matt Eberflus, Arthur Smith, Eric Bieniemy, Brian Dable, the Saints secondary coach, obviously Saleh, Arthur Smith, I'm forgetting the other ones. Did I say Staley, I think? Out of the 8 that we've already interviewed, those are probably the 8 that will be there. So we'll probably, next up, we'll probably head into our second round of interviews. So coming up, this would be our first one. So Saleh is coming into our second round of interviews, which is the first no head coaching finalist. And I'll tell you this. The Jets right now are doing what us Jets fans wanted us to do. They wanted them to do. They are doing this right now. They are doing this right. They are making sure they don't mess up like they did with Gaze. They are making sure that they do not, mess up and do not, fail again. They are making sure that they are getting this team back to competent level football team. And I'll tell you what, I would like really, my prime people I would like for the job is probably Bieniemy, Saleh, Dable. Those are probably my prime three. Then the other ones would probably be, Arthur Smith, I think, would be pretty good. Matt Eberflus would be pretty good. Brandon Staley, those would probably be my other ones. And then the other ones, I don't know how much I want Marvin Lewis or someone like that, or the Saints secondaries coach. I don't know if that. Not that I wouldn't be. Marvin Lewis is interesting. I don't really want him. And the reason I say that is because he did make the playoffs 7 times, but he could not find sustained playoff success. I just feel like he's old. I feel like now the game has really changed. I feel like that's what happened to him in Cincinnati. The game changed, and he wasn't really able to change. He wasn't able to transform into a newer coach kind of guy, and things. He's kind of behind it. Like, he's kind of still a classic coach, and that doesn't always work. So, but I'll tell you what. The Jets right now are doing this right. This news obviously came out today. They're doing this right now. Robert Saleh, obviously with the Niners, really helped to bring them to the Super Bowl last year. Obviously did not win, but really helped them to get to the Super Bowl. Obviously, he's developed Bosa into the player he is. He's been able to really, even with all the moving parts this year on that defensive side of the ball, which I think really just goes to show you how good of a defensive coordinator he is. Even just with all the moving parts on that defensive side of the ball, that stuff, even with all those moving parts on that defensive side of the ball, he was still able to maintain a solid defense this year. That is with Bosa obviously tearing his ACL week 2. They lost Buckner in the offseason. Javon Kinlaw had a decent year, but nothing crazy. They obviously lost their backup. Richard Sherman was out for a long time. They lost so many guys, but he was able to really stick in some of those guys, really develop them well, and for the most part, this was still a pretty solid defense without some of their star-studded players, and that is because I think he's a very solid defensive coordinator. And I'll tell you what, this is another thing too. The Jets the past couple of seasons have had really, the issues have been with the locker room, and these head coaches not having any discipline with the players. You see all the penalties, all these terrible plays, losing the locker room, players, whatever the case may be. Like losing the locker room means like players have completely lost hope in the coach, kind of give up at that point. This is a guy in Robert Saleh, being that he's a defensive coordinator. It's not really like a stereotype, but it's kind of like that in a way. Defensive coordinators have always been known to be more hard on the players, to be more, like, let's go. You're not going to mess around under my watch. If you mess around, you're going to pay for it. They've always been known for that. I think that's also because a lot of the times these defensive coordinators have to really, some of these guys that come in on the defensive side of the ball, they really have to push them because the defense is a big part of the game. Defense wins championships. They really have to push them. This is a guy in Robert Saleh that is not only going to help this team improve, but he is going to help this locker room, help this organization. He is not going to mess around with anyone. He's going to be straight to business. If you've ever seen him on the sideline, he's very serious. It's very rare to get a smile out of him because he's a very serious coach. He's very serious. He's very energetic. He loves the game of football. He loves to coach it. He loves the players, you could tell. Whenever the player makes a good play, he's always over there talking to him. And he's also if a player makes a bad play, he's a very good coach at, teaching guys things. He'll deliver the message to you. If you did the wrong thing, he'll tell you what you did wrong. Don't you worry. He's like that. He's a very level-headed, good, really good football coach, very smart on the defensive side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, if he comes here, that would make a good destination for a lot of these offensive coordinators going to want to come here, and I think it would be a great move for the New York Jets to get this guy, and he's the first known head coaching finalist, and I think Joe Douglas is doing an excellent job so far, and I'll tell you what, if we would hire him right now, I would love this hire. I think this would be a great hire for the New York Jets. But let's read this quick article. Like I said, very locker room discipline, very disciplined coach, does not mess around at all. His players, His players, that's why. His players are very disciplined. Whenever he's been a defensive coordinator, the teams have always been very disciplined. Very little penalties, things like that. Very good coach. And with the media, too, he's going to work well with the media. Because, if there's things that are surrounding around the team, almost like a net situation, this is where you really start to see how good coaches are when there starts to things that start to surround the teams. He's able to really block out that stuff, have the players focus on the game. Very good coach. Really can't talk any. He's very, very good coach. The New York Jets have reportedly narrowed their list of head coaching candidates, and San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh is the first known finalist. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Mike Garofalo, the Jets are flying Saleh in for a second interview Tuesday, and there will likely be others who receive the same treatment. The Jets are in search of a new coach after the firing of Adam Gase, who went just 9-23 in 2 seasons at the helm, including a 2-14 mark this season. Per Brian Costello of the New York Post, other candidates the Jets have either interviewed or plan to include Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus, Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. So there's 5. Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator Joe Brady, former Cincinnati Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis, and New Orleans Saints defensive back coach Aaron Glenn. So those are the 7 guys we've interviewed, obviously with Robert Saleh, so 8 of them. And obviously Aaron Glenn also used to play for the Jets. He was a couple Pro Bowler safety. Another candidate who could find his way into the mix is Doug Peterson, who was fired Monday as the head coach of Philadelphia Eagles after 5 seasons and the Super Bowl win in 2017. Doug Peterson hasn't even gotten interviewed by the New York Jets yet, and as a matter of fact, probably won't. I've heard rumors that with all this stuff around Peterson, and I know people saying that the Jets are going to hire Peterson. That's not going to happen, and the reason that's not going to happen is first off, obviously, you never know. I don't think it would happen. I don't want it to happen. First of all, a guy who's very close with the Jets have said these rumors are overblown, meaning like they're just so outrageous. Like, just because he was close with Douglas does not mean he's automatically going to get the job. You got to earn the job. Douglas has said that. Just because you're close with someone doesn't mean you're going to get the job. They haven't even interviewed him. If you think about it, the Jets already have 1 finalist for the head coaching job. To now all of a sudden say, Doug Peterson, let's give him 2 interviews, make him a finalist, and hire him, that's just not going to happen. You might interview him, but I don't think we're going to hire him. It's going to come down to probably 3 coaches. I would imagine Daboll and Saleh's already on the list. I would imagine Daboll makes the list, and anyone between Eberflus, Arthur Smith, and Bieniemy are going to make that list. That's what I think. Okay? I get it. People could, obviously some people might make the speculation and stuff, and that's all good. But Peterson, he hasn't even gotten interviewed yet. He would have to get interviewed twice, have to impress in both those interviews, have to be better than Saleh and the 2 other guys to get the job. It's a whole lot more than just hiring a guy. There's a lot more to it. And Douglas is taking this patiently too. And Douglas also wants to make this fan base happy. Fan base doesn't want Peterson. Heck no, he's not going to get Peterson. If he does, sure, maybe he does. If he does, then I'll sit here and tell you how wrong I am. But I don't foresee that happening. Especially with his not real success with Philly. Obviously won the 1 Super Bowl. Other than that, really struggled with them. I think he tries to find a coach that's had some success. Jets general manager Joe Douglas was Eagles vice president of player personnel for Doug Peterson first 3 seasons, so there's a clear connection. Despite that, Costello noted Peterson is far from a slam dunk to be the next coach. That's the truth. Slam dunk means he's going to be it. He's far from. He ain't even close. That's the thing. He's not very close. In Saleh, the Jets are considering a highly sought-after candidate who is looking to land his first head coaching job. Along with the Jets, Saleh has reportedly interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons, Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Chargers, and Jacksonville Jaguars. The Eagles requested an interview on him today, but to be honest, whatever happens with the Jets, he might not even take that interview. He could be an especially good fit in Detroit since he is a Dearborn, Michigan native who played at Northern Michigan and coached at both Michigan State and Central Michigan. Also in December, following Lions fire Matt Patricia, a group of Michigan State legislators appealed to Lions owner Shelley Fordham to ask her to consider hiring Saleh as Patricia's replacement. It doesn't seem like much movement's going on there. 41-year-old Saleh has been the Niners defense coordinator for the past 4 seasons and has experienced a great deal of success during that time. San Francisco ranks 2nd in total defense in 2019 and route to the Super Bowl, and it ranks 5th in total defense this season, despite suffering several key injuries and going just 6-10. That's the truth. As a team, that's the truth. They've suffered so many key injuries. For them to still, the 5th best defense is just unbelievable. Just goes to show you how good of a coach he is. Those numbers suggest Saleh could make a hugely positive impact to any squad's defense, and the Jets need it after ranking 24th in total defense and 26th in scoring defense this season. Saleh could have picked multiple head coaching jobs, though, meaning the Jets are far from guaranteed to land even if they're preferred, even if he is their preferred candidate. That is true. Right, like I said, he hasn't gotten hired yet. He's just one of the finalists. You're gonna have your finalists. You're gonna have your guys that you're not gonna really want. You're gonna interview them, probably no, but you're gonna have your finalists. So, but yeah. So obviously that's the whole deal there. So, and he's probably doing his interview very soon, I would imagine. So, yeah. So this is exciting news for as a Jets fan. Now, we might not get him, but at least to know that we're getting this right and we're picking the right coaches is obviously very good. And I would love this hire there. So that's what I got for that. Coming up next, we got college basketball game picks. Like I said, I've always been this, I like to listen to the rumors and stuff like that. But Peterson hasn't even interviewed yet. He's not going to get the coaching job. The Jets are probably going to get a coach that they've interviewed, which is Bieniemy, Dable. In this case, Saul is one of the finalists. Get one of them, draft a quarterback, or draft a receiver, build around that quarterback, build around Darnold, or draft a new quarterback. That's going to be the deal there. That's what's going to probably happen with the New York Jets. They're going to either build around Darnold, or they're going to draft a quarterback like a Zach Wilson or a Fields. Probably Zach Wilson, but, we'll see there. So, yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. But, yeah, so now let's get into college basketball. So, tonight we got Duke and Virginia Tech. I give Duke the win. Tennessee, Vanderbilt give Tennessee the win. Wisconsin, Michigan give Michigan the win. Kansas, Oklahoma State give Kansas the win. And, yeah, that's it for AP Top 25. And Kentucky also plays tonight. Kentucky comes in at 4-6. Alabama comes in at 9-3. Kentucky's 3-point favorites. The over/under is 148 for this game. This game comes on at 148. This game comes on at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. I give Kentucky the win here. I actually do. I know Alabama's 9-3 and Kentucky's 4-6, but I have loved the way Kentucky's played these past 3 games. They are 3-0 in 2021. They've won all their SEC games so far. They're playing well as a team. We just got Keon Brooks back, Deontay Allen, Davion Mintz. Brandon Boston had a good game. Everyone's looking good on this team. I really like the way we're passing the ball, getting the ball to open guys. I really like the way we're playing as a whole, as a team. I feel like in the beginning of the season it was a little bit of individual stuff. Now it's coming together as a team, really playing well. We have very good chemistry. And I'll tell you what, this is a team right now that's making a very good push to possibly soon maybe try to hit the rankings again if we continue to win these games. So I give Kentucky the win there. As for NBA, we got, for college basketball, yesterday the games were how it is. Connecticut beat DePaul. That's the only game there. Connecticut obviously won, but, yeah. As for the NBA, yesterday, Kings won, Trailblazers won, Hawks won, Grizzlies won, Hornets won, Bucks won, and Wizards won. Like I said with, the Knicks, I don't believe the Knicks are going to be that good this season. They started off 5-3. Everyone is hyped. They're 5-6 again. Okay, they've lost 3 straight. The Knicks do this almost every season. They start off strong and they just can't do anything else. So, it should be interesting there. But yeah. So let's see here. So 76ers Heat, I give 76ers the win. Jazz Cavaliers give Jazz the win. Lakers Rockets give Lakers the win. Spurs Thunder give Spurs the win, and Pacers Warriors give Warriors the win. The Nets play against the Nuggets. Nuggets come in this game 5-5. Nets come in this game 5-6. The Nuggets are 1-point favorites. Over/under is 230.5. 7:30 p.m. This game's on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Yes Network. If I could somehow get this up here, it'd be great. Nets have had a pretty good season. Not pretty good season. And the Nets have had a couple pretty good games, I would say. But like I said with the Nets, with everything surrounding Kyrie, I don't know if you're going to be focused on the game. I mean, I would hope and I guess pick them to win and stuff like that because, I guess you just got to hope they would win. But it's just going to be so hard. The Nuggets are stacked with Jamal Murray, Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. They got a stacked team. And that's the problem. With only KD, this defense is really stink. This defense stinks. So with only KD, with some of these other guys, I don't know if you're going to be able to stop this high-powered offense in the in the Thunder. I just don't know if it's going to be able to happen. And this is going to be a real tough game for the Nets. Because the Thunder, the Nuggets, I know they're 5-5, but when they can catch fire, they are a very good team. They are a very good team. You do not want to mess with them. So we'll see there. And I guess I give the Nets the win. I just hope I just hope that this team could somehow find a way to turn it around, I guess. Because it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough to see what happens with this team. It's going to be really interesting. So we'll see. But go Nets. As for now we move on to fantasy basketball there. It's I don't know, man. It's just the Nets. They gotta, like, this team and all these, with all the off the field stuff. It's just these guys gotta find a way to focus on this game. Now we move on to fantasy basketball. I guess I give the Nets, I guess, just the win there. Just because. Let's see. So now I move on to fantasy basketball there. These are the so right now I am winning 315 to 273. So I'm currently winning here tonight. Kyrie Irving obviously out. Irving personal isn't expected to play in any of the Nets 3 games this week, which includes matchup Tuesday with the Nuggets, Wednesday with the Knicks, and Saturday with the Magic. Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN.com reports. As for Jimmy Butler has been ruled out for Tuesday game against the Sixers due to NBA's health and safety protocols. Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press reports. So Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler ain't playing. Anthony Davis also day-to-day. Davis' hip is listed as questionable for Tuesday's tilt against the Rockets. Kyle Goon of the Orange County Register reports. So we'll see what happens there. He's a big part of my team, so hopefully he plays. Miles Turner playing, and Oladipo's day-to-day as well. Oladipo rest is listed as questionable for Tuesday's game against the Warriors. Scott Agnes of FieldhouseFiles.com reports. And also on my bench, Yusuf Nurkic is day-to-day. Nurkic is questionable to return to Monday's game against the Raptors due to a bruised left quadricep. That was yesterday's. No new updates on him. So, my lineup's kind of hurting, but hopefully AD plays and Oladipo do. Because if AD and Oladipo don't play, then all I've got is Miles Turner, and that's it. And that's not good. So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah. So that's my lineup there. Now I move on to fantasy hockey. Yesterday I did in fact do my draft. It was pretty good. I like my team. By the way, Zibanejad, I picked him. He's day-to-day. Zibanejad confirmed he tested positive for COVID-19 before camp. And it's questionable against the Islanders on Thursday. John Lane of NHL.com reports. He's questionable, obviously. But that's kind of what I wanted to read there. So I did in fact do my draft. Yesterday I did it before the college football championship game. Just so I could watch that. So I finished it. It was I think I guess I did pretty good. I've never played Fantasy Hockey before, so I don't know all the scoring and stuff, so I got to kind of learn that on the fly and stuff. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. I'm excited about my team. I'm going to read it to you. I got Mika Zibanejad, Jack Eichel, Steven Stamkos, Artemi Panarin, Braden Point, Anzez Kopitar, Evgeny Malkin, Jamie Benn, Johnny Gardario, Eric Carlson, Chris Letang, let's see. Okay. Jeff Petrie, Ryan Ellis, Shea Theodore, Nicholas Backstrom, Duncan Keith, Braden Sheen, Timo Meier, and Shea Weber. That's my team. And then my goalies is Frederick Anderson, Jacob Markstrom, and Cam Talbot. Sorry, it's a long lineup. That's why it might have seemed I had to scroll a lot. So my forwards are Mika Zibanejad, Jack Eichel, Steven Stamkos, Artemi Panarin, Braden Point, Anzez Kopitar, Evgeny Malkin, Jamie Benn, and Johnny Gardeau. And my utility is also another forward, which is Nicholas Backstrom, and my other forward is Braden Sheen and Timo Meier. My defensemen are Eric Carlson, Chris Letang, Jeff Petrie, Ryan Ellis, and Shea Theodore, and Shea Weber's on my bench for defense. So I'm gonna obviously got to fix the lineup and do that stuff. But yeah, and my goalies are there. So the way this worked is my forwards are really strong. I like my forwards a lot because I went after forwards early. I feel like I probably missed out on a couple really good defensemen. That's also just my first ever fantasy draft. So, I wasn't too sure when to take the goalie, and I took the goalie mid-rounds, I would say. I like Frederick Anderson. Jacob Markstrom, I feel like they're going to be my main two, and then Cam Talbot will probably be my other guy. But like I said, it's also kind of just to see there. But yeah, my first pick was Zibanejad. I got the last pick in the draft. I got the 6th pick, and we did a snake draft, so I had the back-to-back picks. I got the last pick. I know it stinks, but my first 2 picks was Zibanejad and Eichel, and then Stamkos too. He's a very good pick as well. I like Stamkos a lot. Braden Point I thought would be really good. Even with obviously Nikita Kucherov out for the season, I feel like Point and Stamkos are really going to be the main there. Panarin, I took my 2 Rangers players are Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin. And yeah, other than that, it was a pretty good draft. So that's my fantasy hockey team. So pretty exciting. Obviously, season starts up tomorrow. I got some players playing tomorrow, so it should be exciting. But yeah, with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast today. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. Tomorrow will be a hockey day. We'll be talking about NHL Power Rankings with the season starting tomorrow. We'll give you my NHL Power Rankings. I will give you Keandre Miller has been performing really well at Rangers camp. Might talk about him, but I might talk about him on Thursday when I do the season preview for the Rangers. And I'll do the Islanders and stuff like that because New York teams and stuff. And yeah, NHL season starts up tomorrow. Rangers season starts up on Thursday. So the NHL tomorrow, Rangers on Thursday. It's right. It's literally tomorrow and then Thursday. So it's really exciting. I'm really excited. Obviously, hoping them New York Rangers do good. Obviously, going through a little bit of a rebuild, but still, obviously still hoping every year as a fan, I hope that my team wins the championship. So that's the goal. That's the players' goal. So excited for the Rangers season. Hopefully, all I could ask for probably playoffs. Playoffs would be great. We're going through a little bit of a rebuild, but like I always say with the Rangers, this is a team that's 2 years from now, we're going to be a true contender. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm excited to watch some hockey again. Excited to see some Rangers hockey, see the blue shirts take the ice, and should be exciting. So yeah. So with all that being said, I will do it for the podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.